So, there's been an ongoing debate about what our kids should be eating in school. And, Michelle Obama has led the charge against childhood obesity. And I reported to you yesterday that fully 30% of American girls, and I mean little girls, are considered to be obese or overweight. That being one of the leading causes of a speculation of why it is that 15% of white American girls are entering puberty by age 7 and 23% of black American girls are entering puberty by age 7. That was a story that was an article that I reported yesterday, but it's reverberating in my head since then. Sometimes stories go out and sometimes they stay in. That one has stayed in. First of all, we didn't discuss the ramifications on boys, of which there don't appear to be the same sort of hormonal changes going on, but they think that environmental contaminants are delaying their brain function, which, it's going to happen. And then one of my wonderful loyal listeners wrote in to say to me, well, how do you think it would affect adults? After all, we know that children and children's development are being affected because things are rapidly dividing, right, in cells and growing as kids. But even adults, it could be affecting. Maybe that's an explanation for greater evidence of Alzheimer's disease within our population. There are certain diseases that have grown. They've grown by number as well as percentage of population. Alzheimer's is one of them. A principal who had a policy in which she said that kids couldn't bring lunches to school because she had made the determination that she saw unhealthy lunches being brought to school. But the reporter who did the story said that the reporter found the vast majority of school lunches ended up in the wastebasket anyway. They looked unappetizing. They certainly weren't completely healthy. And so the question is, how much control should a school principal have over what your kid eats? Well, I think myself, horror of horrors, it comes down to parents once again. I guess I'm dating myself, but are you ready for this, guys? When I went to public school, there was no hot food in the cafeteria. Okay? Your mom packed you a paper bag lunch. And by the way, it was paper. It wasn't plastic because it was in the days where that's what you had and it was okay. And I used to alternate between Ethel's fried chicken and Ethel's tuna fish. And when Ethel wasn't there, which was most of the time, but she would make lunches for me for the rest of the time, it was peanut butter. I didn't like jelly. And that's what it was. And you know what? It was fine. And it was an apple and carrots. And that's what it was. There were no soda machines. There were no vending machines. There was no candy. There were no French fries. There was no greasy burgers. There was no extra carbohydrates. There was no fructose and corn syrup. It was what it was. And when you look back at the pictures of my generation of kids growing up in the 1960s and the 1970s, go look at those pictures in yearbooks. You see pretty thin kids. Every once in a while there was a fat kid. Every once in a while there was a kid underweight. But in general, you saw strong, healthy limbs on sturdy bodies. That's the truth. Go look at the pictures. And that's because you are what you eat. You are what you eat. So we have a little bit of time at 203-845-34 to get into it. We may stop the conversation and get into it later. But now the issue is becoming about chocolate milk. And there's a big debate about whether or not there should be chocolate milk in schools. The Washington Post reporting today that it is stirring a lot of controversy. Parents would like tougher standards on nutrition in school food. And chocolate milk, I was really surprised to hear that chocolate milk is readily available in school. Because when I was a kid, chocolate milk was Bosco, right? Chocolate milk was chocolate syrup in your milk. Your mom didn't buy you a container of pre-made chocolate milk because that was too much of a temptation. What you had was once in a while a little chocolate in your milk. Like you have once in a while a piece of cake. That's what you had as a sweet, not as a regular staple. And so chocolate milk, by the way, has a lot of extra sugar in it, as if you wouldn't know. And a lot of people are now saying that the obvious choice of chocolate milk being better than milk is really no choice at all. And it's not a good idea. Do we have time to take a phone call? We do? All right, let's get Dawn from Norwalk. Dawn, on the subject, what is your opinion?
Well, I just wanted to point out to you about an article, a series of articles in the Hour. There's a lady, she's having lunch in the school cafeterias in Norwalk for a week.
Oh, I want to see that. I must have missed that. I thought I read the paper every day. I'm glad you told me about it.
I just saw something today. She was talking about how, the cheese lunch alternative, if people don't pay for their lunch, and it's cheese and a thing of milk, and it just, it's kind of interesting, but so.
Well, but is the point is so far is she reporting that she thinks that kids have decent choices, or not really?
She hasn't really gotten into that. She's actually getting into a little bit more of the politics of it.
Okay. Well, and it is very political. Dawn, do you have kids in school?
I do. My son gets a hot lunch at school every day, and I'm sure he's not eating it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. He gets a hot lunch.
Yes.
Is that because you're on some kind of program where he's provided a hot lunch?
We get a reduced lunch. We have the reduced lunch.
So have you ever brought him, have you ever provided a lunch for him? Because
once or twice, but I know that it comes home. He just brings it right back home, so I haven't really done it. And I know that he, a little bit of variety, and, I figure it's better off if he throws their food away than my food away.
Okay. All right, Dawn. Well, that is one way of looking at it. Here's another conversation I want to have with you. And that has to do with what our kids eat. And I touched on it a little bit in the last hour. It has to do with the current controversy surrounding, of all things, chocolate milk. Chocolate milk. And the reason I want to talk about it is because the idea that our schools control, and I'm talking public schools, so you can extrapolate to that government if you want to. If not, you can just say your local school. But they control an awful lot of what our kids ingest in terms of giving them temptations that they shouldn't be having in school. So let me just say it really clearly. There's no reason for a French fry to ever be in a school cafeteria. None. None. No reason whatsoever. There's no reason, frankly, for a grossy, greasy hamburger to be in a school cafeteria. There really isn't. Macaroni and cheese. What is this? Carbs upon carbs upon carbs? Just because kids like it is not a reason to give it to them. Hello, hello, hello. That's what dessert is for. That's what an occasional treat is for. That's what candy used to be about. And I, by the way, am a person who believes in moderation. I'm not saying never, never, never. I'm saying not in school. Not in school, not every day. Not in school where the kids are making the choices and not the parents and not the teachers. We're giving them too much leeway and too many bad choices to choose from. I want to give you an example of how it's done right. My friend lives in Switzerland. Her kids grew up in public schools in Switzerland. She was horrified to see what the school cafeterias have here. I said, well, what do they have there, Muriel? She said to me, it's salads, and it's healthy, and it's vegetables that are steamed, and it's really healthy foods all day long, hot foods, but good foods, nutritional foods, because they've made a decision as a society in Switzerland that their kids' health is important. And so they're going to put some money in it, because fresh vegetables cost money. Crappy bread on a quarter-pounder meat doesn't cost any money in this country. That's another situation altogether, that meat is too cheap. Meat is way too cheap in this country. We value animal lives too poorly, and we have animal husbandry that's despicable and disgraceful. And so because of that, we have the cheap hamburger. We shouldn't have the cheap hamburger. An animal's life should be worth a little bit more than a cost of a piece of lettuce. That's the truth. Think about it. We shouldn't have such cheap meat, but we do. And it's not nutritious, and it's not terribly healthy. It really isn't. It's okay in moderation. Anyway, so let's talk about chocolate milk. Here's the debate. The debate is that they want kids to drink milk, and they feel that if the milk has chocolate in it, more kids will consume milk. And then there are other people who think, no, wait a minute. We'll serve regular milk, and they'll drink it or they won't drink it, but we won't give them a sugar-laden additive in a substance like milk just to get them to drink milk because, and here's where it is, ready? Let's see. First of all, I'll give you some facts here. Chocolate milk contains, on the average, 24 grams per half pint of sugar. That's a lot of sugar in a little half a carton of milk. Think about that. That's a lot. And the pitch, by the way, and it's a moneymaker, comes from people who want people to drink milk. Let me find out for you. Hold on. I had it right here. See, basically, the debate is between parents and vocal industry representatives. And they were talking specifically in the Washington Post about Fairfax, Virginia, about this debate that has come up because the parents are saying, enough, we don't want chocolate milk. And then other people are saying, but wait a minute, if we don't have chocolate milk, then the kids won't drink milk at all. The truth is you can get rid of soda. You can have a choice of milk or a fruit juice, an actual fruit juice, or water. Or guess what? You can just have water or milk if you don't want to have one of these sugar-laden fruit juices. It's not so terrible. It really isn't. And if kids want a choice other than water, they'll have their milk. All right, let me tell you here. So, I mean, if I give you this stuff, you're going to be shocked. And so I want to give you the facts. Okay. More than 70% of the milk distributed in school cafeterias is flavored. Can you believe that? More than 70% of the milk distributed. It doesn't say consumed. In other words, companies that flavor milk make money from flavored milk. They make more money than from regular milk. And that milk is provided. So that means, and Fairfax alone serves 62,000 gallons of chocolate milk a year. And the formulations used in many cafeterias have more calories ounce for ounce than Coca-Cola. So what are we doing? We're doing the wrong thing. We're doing the wrong thing. Get the chocolate milk out of schools. Jeff Anderson, who's a parent of 3 kids and a member of Real Food for Kids, a Fairfax area advocacy group, was quoted as saying, "If we want to fix childhood obesity, chocolate milk is just one of the things we need to get rid of. It's a no-brainer." And any nutritionist that says nutritionists are split between those who think chocolate milk is worth the payoff in nutrients and those who don't, that's a bunch of crap. Ann Cooper says, trying to get students to consume calcium by drinking chocolate milk is like getting them to eat apples by serving them apple pie. Very well said, Ann Cooper. That's extremely true. And just because chocolate milk, according to the National Dairy Council, is the most popular milk choice in schools, well, hello. You know what? I mean, if you give me a choice of a salad or a candy bar and I'm 7 years old, I'm going with the candy bar. I mean, the whole idea for children is, number one, they don't have impulse control, i.e. they're kids. Number 2, they don't have the understanding of what good nutrition is. We're supposed to be teaching it to them. How do you teach? You teach by example. You don't teach by putting out all the temptations of the bad stuff in front of them every day, because the message is, well, if it's in my school cafeteria, it must be good for me. Some adult is providing it to me. Somebody out there is caring for me and caring about me. They wouldn't be putting stuff in my school cafeteria that wasn't good for me. I mean, what kind of crazy contradictory messages do we keep sending to our kids, and then we blame our kids for being fat? It's our fault that the kids are fat.